Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Geeks Connect show with myself Tiyani and Mixo Tiyani. We are back for another week and I'm back from the vacation.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Unfortunately, Danny is back with us this weekend. this Thursday. So we'll hear more about what he was up to in Geekation.
Yeah, we'll be chatting about that later on, but today we have a special show. We'll be talking all things information security, all things on the health of the geek culture in South Africa, because we like to know how the geek culture is doing, Yeah, but without any further ado, very shortly we'll be connecting with Leigh Thomas, who's joining us live from the UK. We'll be talking about some of the things that he does. He's the leader of the alliance. I'm not talking about the Blue Party, Dumelang.
Yeah, so Lee is a very interesting character, as a very interesting individual. The story is quite interesting on how we met him. But it's been great. It's been great since knowing him. There's really some cool stuff that has happened. So yeah, looking forward to that chat with Lee and basically hearing more of what is it doing globally, locally, especially in the security space.
Yes, do we have him online? Okay, but yeah, we'll be chatting to him shortly. But Mixo, what have you been up to in the past few days?
Haven't been doing much. Just the major thing I think I was up to last week was a Facebook event. And then on the weekend was a Red Bull basement hatch there to Molokong. So that was what I was getting up to. But other than that, just been following up and just checking out what's going on in the tech space, offline a bit. So just monitoring what's really going on. And your side, T, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I've been in the other side of the world, Cape Town, attending some events, meeting up some people, and seeing what are the possibilities, on that side of the world. Quite an interesting ecosystem as usual, Cape Town. Totally different from Johannesburg, but
what's so different about it?
I don't know. Hey, I'm still trying to figure it out.
It feels different being there, right?
Yeah, it does. It just feels like another country. But I've been observing a couple of things that have been happening in the tech ecosystem. All things from cybersecurity and what's been happening. In fact, there's a report that just got released that South Africa continues to lag in terms of responsiveness to cyber attacks. We did highlight also in the previous time that South Africa is amongst the top 9. It's number 9 in terms of the most vulnerable countries in cyber security. Do we have Lee on the line now? Lee? Hello?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome to the show, Lee. You are live on the Geeks Connect show with myself, Tiyani, and Mixo.
How's it, Lee?
Very good. Good morning, gents. How's things?
We good.
Yeah, just let's get into it. Lee is a leader of various alliances. He's from an organization known as Alliance Media Group, but does a lot of things around the country. Welcome, Lee. Firstly, who is Leigh Thomas?
So I'm just a person that's trying to find the ideal for corporate executives, especially in technology. I've worked on a number of business-to-business event platforms over the years, and stepping aside from being recruited by one, I decided to set up my own and launch Alliance Media Group. So that's where I'm at the moment. A bit of an idealist, if you like.
I see. So it's one of those typical ones, breaking out of a large organization to do the things that he really loves. Yeah, but we know you from the CISO Alliances. I know that there are a couple of alliances that you run around the country. Can you just tell us about those alliances?
Yeah, for sure. So the strategy with Alliance Media Group is quite a simple one. We're building transparent, candid networking platforms for corporate executives, and including then relevant entities that can be part of those initiatives from an educational standpoint to help derive the best ways and best practices of overcoming business objectives. So the structure is divisionally focused within a business, within the C-suite. So in technology, of course, you guys may or may not know, there's a chief information officer within most organizations which are in control of IT strategy within that company. And either within that remit or within another remit of the business, there's a chief information security officer, which is where the CISO Alliance comes in. And we're also looking at chief data officer, chief digital officer, as well as chief marketing officer moving forward. But yeah, the alliances themselves are just technology-focused networking platforms, essentially.
Yeah, so Leigh, I mean, so here I hear the big words. What does it mean for someone like me who's trying to get into the space? I'm a young guy. Is there an opportunity for me to be part of this? Is there a way I can listen, or is it more exclusive?
It tends to be exclusive, and the couple of reasons for that is not to have disconnect within the content. The content of each of the discussion and debate sessions within the Alliance chapters is all derived from the attendees. The attendees provide us with use cases and business objectives they have to strategize to overcome in the next 12 to 24 months. And we build talks around that. The small guy getting involved in that environment, there's so many platforms which we've supported through Geek Culture, through Tiyani and Mixo there, whereby we're just trying to bridge the gap between corporate and the skills gap within South Africa specifically. So what we've been doing as an entity is promoting culture at the CISO Alliances, allowing you guys to provide your own use cases as to what areas you've impacted, what people you've touched in terms of developing ICT skills and cybersecurity skills within the region. And obviously through that, we promote and ask the corporates to get involved in mentorships. So the hackathons that you guys are involved in tend to be or have a bit more of a realistic touch to them in terms of the scenarios and the angles that you guys encourage.
I see.
So yes, there's so many opportunities there.
So I suppose through these hackathons, it's more on building the pipeline, people who can then be taking part in the main CISO alliances in the very near future as well. Yeah. So you have also highlighted why it's important to host this kind of alliances, either it's CISO alliances, CIO alliances, and so forth. But why are these so important for the industry in particular, and what set them apart from the typical events that are there in the market right now?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's got to be, as you launching your own business, there's got to be a USP when it comes to developing something which you're hoping to get loyalty and commitment of time from senior executives. The way I identified that, if I can take it back to the start of Alliance Media Group, we ran our first alliance with the core focus of developing the format of the alliance chapters. So quite simply, we've got very much a customer-centric approach to how we develop each of the platforms, which is a bit of a differentiator because there's a bit of a cookie-cutter mentality within the events market, whereby because it works in one region, it then gets spread across other regions without really asking the community what they want, what they're looking for from an event. So we're purely focused, and the content has been, the format has been built around what the attendees want, which is quite simply stripped back, unreferenced discussion and debate forums around business objectives and around strategies which people are currently working on. The reality is within a region, the common challenges which a CISO or a CIO is currently facing and working towards is relatable throughout the entire community. So if we can create sessions which are focused around the common goal, then there's a lot more appeal for people to be part of them. The other big element, obviously, even though we are a business and we remain a sustainable business from a financial standpoint, but we're not commercially driven. We don't invite loads of vendors to come down and sponsor Alliance chapters and come down and corporate flag wave and talk about themselves, because essentially it's not really about the vendors themselves. It's about the use cases that they work on, and it's actually about the end users initially, rather than just trying to make money and monetizing an event and monetizing CIO and CISO's times because of the budgets they oversee. That's not what our focus is. So yeah, there's so many different factors to the business, but in a nutshell, that's where we're at.
So Leigh, I mean, there's a lot of things that you guys talk about. Tiyani and I attended one of the sessions in Joburg. Lots of learnings there. But what would you say is one of the things that stood out for you in some of the sessions that you've had, that you'd want to share with our young audience out there?
Yeah, for me, there's the biggest thing and the biggest traction we've had, and it is because of yourselves. We were fortunate to get introduced by the Group Chief Information Security Officer over at one of the insurance companies in South Africa, one of the larger insurance companies. And from the first CISO Alliance that I ran in Johannesburg, there's a clear opportunity, even though it's a pain point for the corporates, whereby there's a huge skill shortage. For me, that screams an opportunity for the youth of South Africa. You guys were chatting earlier about how vulnerable South Africa may be from threat and cyber attacks, etc. There's a report by IBM, which is supported by Polmon, one of the consultancy companies, which shows that the cost of data breach average is the highest in South Africa.
Whoa.
Now, in terms of, and that's a global report as well, without scaremongering, there's an opportunity here for the youth of South Africa to really get involved in combating that, and the corporates are screaming out for young skilled executives to commit their time to be mentored, to better understand what a corporate information security strategy looks like and how to be part of that environment. And like I said earlier, the platforms like the hackathons that you guys run with so many entities, there's so many mentors on there that are actively seeking stronger teams and members of that team to ensure that they're combating the bad guys when it comes to the security risks that they're facing. So yeah, for the youth of today, there's clearly an appetite, and the millennial culture is to be a lot more technology lived lives, and their lives are revolved around technology. Apply that into your career opportunities, because there's a clear opportunity to do that, and a desire to do that.
Yep. But last week, CISO Alliances Cape Town and CIO Alliances Cape Town were taking place. What are some of the key takeaways from those sessions, from your side?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So just to give the listeners a bit of a background in terms of where we're at, we launched in Johannesburg. The CISO Alliance then launched in Cape Town with a similar sort of concept, even though since before, customer centric, we'll always continue to evolve the platform itself. But the key takeaways are, because there's so many events out there, the communities tend to be disbanded quite a bit, and there's not that community feel within the InfoSec and the InfoTech communities because of event saturation and event fatigue. So one of the key takeaways is the fact that the community feels a lot closer. The simple platforms like a WhatsApp chat group is flourishing at the moment. There's a lot of chat going on and continued collaboration around the conversations and discussions that took place. But from a subject matter perspective, the biggest elements and aspects that have come from it is the threat level within South Africa, and compliance meeting that threat level is one of the main areas, and how seriously is corporates in South Africa taking data privacy. We've obviously seen recently in the news with one of the large insurance companies there in SA being attacked by some sort of ransomware, without going into depth around that. But it's about developing the policies and developing the culture within these organizations to not have those vulnerabilities shown. So there's been so many takeaways, but I think that data privacy element is probably one of the biggest ones.
Okay, you're taking privacy there. Of course, we have to talk about the GDPR. We have to talk about the POPI Act as well. In terms of the two countries, you are mostly based in the UK, and having been in South Africa, what do you think South Africa can learn from how corporate UK operates?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a head in the sand sort of mentality until something happens. There's a very much a reactive mentality in South Africa, whereas the UK may be a little bit more regimented in implementing things that the government puts in place, and like GDPR, and adopting those strategies. Even though, with Brexit going on in the UK as an example, we don't necessarily have to be compliant with GDPR, but we see the purpose of that and the why behind that, which is why a lot of businesses develop privacy policies and seem compliant when it comes to that. Whereas within South Africa, even though the POPI Act has been in development, let's say, for many, many years.
Yeah, of course.
There's still not much action around that and development of policies to be compliant with that act. And the same thing with GDPR, whereas a lot of South African organizations have customers based in Europe, so they have to be compliant. It's just the understanding that it's difficult not to add to the workload because there's so much going on already. But there's clear action points that can be achieved quite simply by subtle changes. And I think communication around the justification as to why these policies exist in the first place is key, because if there's not enough of a divine value or purpose for work to be implemented into something, then people are not really going to adopt it. So yeah, there is a cultural difference, but I think that people are starting to stand up and be accountable for developing these policies, etc., that must sit in place, because it's their customers' data at the end of the day that they are treating ethically. That's what it's all about. It's about trusting, gaining trust to continue a good relationship with their customers. So hope that answers the question.
No, it does answer the question. I mean, for there's a lot of learning, especially from young South Africans, in terms of how to prepare for that, and that's some of the things that the team is doing from a key culture point of view, in terms of building the skills and educating them. I mean, where would you suggest some of the places where you can find information around security, just for the guys out there to find out more info and be in a better position? Because I mean, we can't wait for this thing to be a serious, it is already a serious thing, but we as a young people need to start learning something about how to prepare ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Difficult question because I'm UK based, but I think you guys would probably be the best to sort of talk about the opportunities there. From my perspective, like I said earlier, the corporates, relevant executives, the CISOs and the information security teams there are actively promoting a better culture around information security and how to deal with phishing attacks and all that sort of stuff within the businesses themselves. So there should be a cultural switch and change up. I think it's quite apparent already, where people are a lot more savvy to not clicking on emails and links that they're not too sure about. And I think that it's coming under the common sense element, but like you said, you've got to get yourself into what's going on. The corporates have so many examples of where these threats are taking place, and you get access to the corporates through hackathons like you guys run, and get a better understanding as to what is the reality. The fact of the matter is, people are quite naive to not realize that there's daily, hourly attacks that take place on the large corporates in South Africa and the rest of the corporates across the world. It's a consistent thing that's going on, and there are metrics and procedures in place to not be vulnerable or not be as vulnerable in those environments. But the fact of the matter is, the threat is developing as quick as the solution is developing, and it's going to be an ongoing challenge for most people. It's just trying to keep up to date with what's going on, you know.
I guess let the battle continue. Hopefully, we'll find the right termination to actually sort this out, and actually not maybe to completely take it out, but be in a better position as a country.
Absolutely, absolutely, and one of the key things is how to get startups being ready, or at least be compliant. So we always call out that there should be one platform that just helps young entrepreneurs, startups out there to be able to find templates in terms of how to go about. If you're looking at the Poppy Act, you are looking at the GDPR and such. One of the key things I took out from CISO Alliances at Cape Town was the proactive protection. I think that was a presentation by John when he was highlighting some of the capabilities in terms of the Security Operations Center. But what would you say is the advice? What is the best advice that you can give out there to a young startup in being proactive in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I think there isn't a silver bullet answer to security. That is the fact of the matter. It's very much a developing division of business, but quite simply, there's plenty of security frameworks and security roadmaps out there which will help you identify what should be considered as you're developing your business. It's fortunate for us as entrepreneurs and as startups because we have no legacy systems in place and we have no legacy processes in place where we have to correct a routine, which is really difficult to do. But from a startup's perspective, I just suggest that security becomes one of the main elements of how you develop your business and your processes. Because if you're not secure, you're vulnerable to what may happen to your business. And these ransomwares and threats that are out there can shut your business down overnight, and that is the reality of it. So should that be considered as one of the main elements of your business strategy? I would personally say so.
All right. We live in what? Well, there's this fever going on in South Africa, the fourth industrial revolution. What's your take on that?
It's happening. I think there's a lot of buzz in South Africa at the moment when it comes to technology. The fact of the matter is, when I speak to MDs of regional Google and Microsoft, etc., they are investing a lot of money and resource into developing South Africa. The startup ratio in Cape Town, especially, not to discount Joburg or Gauteng, but there's a hell of a lot of app development, fintech organizations going on in Cape Town, which would compete with the best, including the Silicon Valley. Even if you look at last year with Barclays ABSA, they acquired, I think it was roughly between 10 and 20 startup organizations within Cape Town, fintech organizations, which they are implementing into their own innovation strategies to better develop Barclays and ABSA's services in Africa and in South Africa. So yeah, there's so much going on. It's the same as anything, though, guys, right? If you believe in something enough, you'll invest your time into it.
Sure.
And you've just got to get yourself out there and just ask the questions and lean on people, right?
I like that part where you say ask the questions, and that's the thing that most people are not doing. They're on their sides wondering instead of asking the questions. So for me, ask the questions, whether it's right or wrong, just jump in. And I mean, as you said, there's a huge talk around 4.0, but we need to ask the questions to see how we better prepare ourselves locally.
Yeah,
for sure. I think what people are reluctant to do, because I don't think it's in our nature to do so, but if you show your vulnerabilities, you learn where your vulnerabilities are, and you learn how to not be so vulnerable within those vulnerabilities. And that's one thing that we achieve with the alliances is we allow for people to have the opportunity to ask the stupid questions, maybe. And even though they're corporate executives and they're expected to know it all, nobody does. So as a collective, you've got to work together and lean on each other, competitor or not. Make the most of that opportunity to ask the questions.
Yeah, Leigh. Any final words, and how do people get to know about CISO Alliances activities, the website, and so forth?
Yeah, for sure. So the CISO Alliances has a bit of a global roadshow taking place for the rest of the year. We're going to be in Johannesburg again on the 13th of September. It is invite only, so I suggest you reach out and register your interest at the website, which is cisoalliances.com. But yeah, I think what people need to do in this environment is keep affiliating themselves with these hackathons, keep affiliating themselves in opportunities to learn from peer groups, and develop your own personal skill sets to give yourself the best opportunity to develop a career there. There is a huge opportunity globally with it, not just in South Africa, and there's a hell of a lot of challenges around there. So who knows? You could be the next innovator in information security. So make yourself known.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate this. Joining us live from Wales. That's where you are. How's the weather there, by the way?
It's interesting. We're an island in the North Sea, essentially the UK. So as you can imagine, the weather fluctuates. It's been beautiful recently, but we did get a bit of humidity and some rain yesterday. So yeah, it's all good. Fresh is probably the best way to say. But no, thank you very much, guys, for the time today. I really appreciate being on the show. And if I can help at all, please reach out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Leigh, for your continuous support. Big ups.
Nice one. Cheers, guys. Keep well. Yeah.
Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Leigh Thomas. He's the leader of the Alliances from Alliance Media Group, hosting a variety of Alliances chapters, from CISO Alliances to CIO, and all those focused on making sure that these corporate organizations, meet up the customers' needs, looking at the future, allowing people to ask stupid questions.
What I like from the one we attended from the alliance groups is that there's people usually come together and there's a lot of talk. These guys talk a lot, but when they go offline they help a lot, and they put things into work. So that's one thing I really admire about them. I mean, we can't even mention the amount of people who stood up and said, listen, how do I jump in, how do I support? So big ups to what these guys are doing. I really love it.
Yes, speaking of support, we're now going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we're also going to play a song, See You Just Now, and yeah.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand live.
No doubt.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping center set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.
Yeah. Still I feel I haven't done enough. Been through some dry seasons and I've had enough. Money flowing into different locations. I think it's my time that we suffered up. It's gonna need me just to toughen up. Well, I've been broke for too many times. Now I think it's time I build a young enough. Ain't gonna do more favors, just a lot of papers. Cause these niggas genuine, then they vanish. Been working just to get it poppin'. Most these niggas do it cause of fashion. Niggas out here mugging non-stop. Guess a coffee is way too outlandish. I've been working on my next move. I don't say shit, I do it inside. silence. People told me that I'm next up, yeah, they see the talent, I don't take that for granted. Easy habit since day one, so you know who I'm with when I'm splitting the checks. Shout out to you if you believe that I'm next. I heard them say that I'm the talk of the block. My phone buzzing, so you know I'm the plug. I got your lady, I'm the boss of ride. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to do. I'm about to do. I am never home. I am never home. Driven by that goal. I'm driven by that goal. Yeah. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. Check my contact list, I got fewer friends. I ain't trying luck when I was just a kid. They treated me like a misfit, true shit. I ain't even tryna be the missing piece to the plain fucking puzzle. Anyway, I wouldn't fit. I'm way too outlandish to fit up with all of the averages. Check on my pack with some savages. My loyalty got no price tag. All of my friends are two brothers and sisters. I'm always on them with the damn fam. They understand on a nigga situation. I don't even gotta try hard to feel I'm part of the fam, yeah. All that we do is just effortless. We like a nail in a haystack with some aliens, yeah. I feel like a dumb criminal, yeah. Every time I kill a show, I leave some evidence. I drop felonies, now these bad ones tryna cuff on me, yeah. They say they gon' pray for me, that's why they only need I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to do. I'm about to do. I am never home. I am never home. Driven by that goal. I'm driven by that goal. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. I'm about to blow. Don't mean to sound cool to these same fools, but I ain't doing shit to impress them. I bless them, I know they gon' act like they don't see. I've given too many F's like a teacher to all of these dumb kids. Just listen to what easy deal with the drum kids. We inspire the damn kids. I mean the thing is, have you seen my DMX? The way that they sending is crazy. I might be the reason why your girlfriend has a pattern, cause you might see some wrong shit. Have you seen my DMX? The way that they sending is crazy. I might be the reason why your girlfriend has a pattern, cause you might see some wrong shit. I'm about to blow, yeah.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
What's up? Relax, T. You must just relax. Like,
I am relaxed, Chief. I am relaxed.
welcome back, guys. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Leigh. Lots of stuff with learning. And I mean, security is a big thing, so you probably hear lots of that going forward.
Yes, you're still tuned into the Geeks Connect show with myself, Tiyani, and Mixo. We are broadcasting live in one of the boxes at 27 boxes. Yeah, just had to say that. Yeah. You know, so here's what happened last year. At the ITU, this is the telecommunications union of the World Telecommunications Union. You know, because tech also needs unions. So last year, the ITU World Telecommunications Day was hosted in South Korea, and it was a big, exciting thing. You know, where world brands in the telecommunication space in particular came together to discuss trends, discuss some of the best technologies that are emerging, and how the world will do that. And South Africa was represented there in was represented through the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services, and some of the Northern Cape guys also went there, which was exciting. But much like the 2010 World Cup, South Africa also won the bid to host the World Telecommunications Day.
Yeah.
Here in South Africa. So it's happening from the 10th until the 13th of September in Durban. And it's quite an interesting thing. A lot of activities will be happening there. It will be addressed by high government officials, obviously. But there's something exciting for young techies out there, especially in the IoT space, in disruptive solutions. So there's this Industry 4.0 challenge that's happening, and they are calling for applications. They are looking for disruptive innovators like yourselves. So the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services, in collaboration with Standard Bank and Ericsson, are seeking to identify and develop technology entrepreneurs and SMEs. Those are the small to medium enterprises that have built technology relevant to the fourth industrial revolution to showcase at the prestigious international exhibition.
Yeah, so it's a massive challenge, Industry 4.0 challenge. Standard Bank and Ericsson are involved in it. So do check it out. So we'll be dropping the link on Twitter and also on the Facebook. And just have a look into it. It's. I mean, I don't know much about the ITU, but I'm really looking forward to it. I know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
And I wanted to mention the hackathon that's involved in the challenge, but not sure where things are standing. But yes, look into Industry 4.0 challenge. We'll drop the link right now.
Were you talking about the NDP hackathon? Oh yes, there is the NDP hackathon. I think you can still you can still take part in that. It's the ndphackathon.gov.za by CITA. I'm not sure when exactly it will take place, but do check out the website and see if that's for you. It should be an interesting one. You know, we always hear of the NDP, especially around 2012.
Yeah.
NDP. But now techies get to be involved in that process.
So CITA has actually gone back and listened to some of you guys' feedback. So they've changed some of the things. They've improved the site. They've improved the date. The date has been expanded. For instance, we'll just give you a couple of things. Proposal submission, 31 July, and then the process of selecting the proposals is 21 to 27th of August, and then the hackathon will take place in mid-November. So the hackathon has been shifted. So there was huge cries in terms of the terms and conditions around, how do you take part in the hackathon, and there were a couple of issues around that. So we're actually just going through them now. CITA has gone back and listened to some of your feedback and improved on some of the T's and C's. So while we continue, I'll just go through some of them for you, especially the burning ones.
Okay, let's look at the T's and C's. This is highly unusual, finding techies reading the terms and conditions. So we are about to do this, ladies and gentlemen. That is what you must always do, by the way. Always read the terms and conditions and see if what you are getting yourself into is eligible to you.
All right, so one of the burning issues is the one in terms of who owns the project. So initially there was 70% will be owned by CITA, but things have changed a bit. If you go to you download the PDF, the terms and the T's and C's of the PDF, there's under A.6, you actually realize that they've changed the ownership part. So CITA is no longer, as according to this document, taking 70%, which is really great news for quite a number of people. In terms of who's eligible to attend or to take part, government officials, state-owned companies, NGOs and NPOs, general public, private companies, and students. So anyone within those categories can actually take part in this. And you need a minimum of 3 to a maximum of 5 members per team.
You know what? I'm thinking you and I must maybe enter this hackathon here and show them.
It's been a while, eh?
It's been a while. I stopped attending hackathons because I always won. I must go back. It's like I'm a veteran.
Just one more time.
Yeah.
Just one more time.
Maybe we must do it. Huh? We'll just check our schedule and see if it allows.
Person.
Yes.
So 20% of the hackathon prize money will be paid to the winning teams 30 days after the event. The 80% of the prize money will be paid upon completion of the solution realization. So basically by January you get your 80%. So here is, guys, you get the full money now. You get your 100. Well, if you win, you get 100,000 rand. There's different categories, but obviously this is based on the category. So do download the PDF and read the T's and C's they've improved. So shout out to CETA for actually listening to the audience and improving on it, and hopefully we'll see most of you guys enter the challenge. So what we'll do, we'll post the Industry 4.0 challenge on social media. We'll also post the NDP CETA hackathon, and you guys can take part. You never know, maybe T and I might just enter as well.
Yeah. Now, let's go through the Geek Digest, and this time we are going to check out the Innovators.it group. What is Innovators.it group, Misho?
So it's a group that we created. Basically, this is the foundation of geek culture where it started. But the idea is it's really open. So you can jump in and comment about anything tech related. Please do not sell hair products. We'll delete those posts. So comment about anything in terms of what challenges are you facing. Are you working on a particular project? Do you have an app that you want and you want people to review? You need direction to a particular place for an interview. There are people that are more than 7,000 of them always ready to help. So it's open to anyone across South Africa, anyone across the continent who wants to jump in. So please, by all means, keep it to tech. Anything outside tech, we will definitely remove it.
Okay. Speaking of tech, Social Guy ZA posted something about Limpopo Connection. So 500 ICT youth and SME program. The MEC of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism have so there's an opportunity available there for Limpopo through Limpopo Connection. So go check out limpopoconnection.co.za. Connection with XION.
Shout out to you, to my peeps in Limpopo.
Yes, and speaking of Limpopo, we are collaborating with them to host. I'm not sure if it's the first ever hackathon in Polokwane, but have you heard of a hackathon in Polokwane before?
Haven't heard of a hackathon in PLK, but maybe let's not take the credit at being the first one. Let's just say you guys gonna be ready for a really awesome hackathon happening
in August. 17 to 18 August. We are coming, y'all. We are coming, and it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting one focused on healthcare.
Yeah, so we're coming through to LIMS on the 17th of August. Save the dates. Make sure you come through. Where exactly are we going? Do you know?
University of Limpopo.
Okay, University of LIMS will be there. See you guys that side.
Yes, and also still on the Innovators.it group, Mpocha Linkuna will be having him soon on the show, but it's a developer of an app called Tell a Buddy.
Tell us more about Tell a Buddy.
Tell a Buddy is an app, basically an online counseling and life management. Sure.
Yeah, good deep. I mean, Tell a Buddy, if you need help, you need counseling. I mean, sometimes we take this thing for granted, that, you're supposed to be strong and, but there's some things that people go through and they actually need a bit of help. So maybe that's what the app is.
Just lean on me.
When you're not strong.
Okay, all right. But the app currently has 500 downloads and still counting. And it is having more installs every day. So that's quite an interesting one there. We're talking cybersecurity today. So Christopher Mponya posted that we are looking for a certified cybersecurity ISO or IEC. They're looking for a trainer, and if you are that person that they are looking for, you can email to neo@lenscyber.co.za. neo@lenscyber.co.za. So there is an opportunity, and as we always say, hire gigs.
So now that you're on that, guys, can you drop us? Let's just have a little bit of sharing moment. Drop us if you have any job opportunities you want to give guys in the tech space. Drop us the stuff on Twitter, Facebook. Use the hashtag HireGeeks. If you're looking for a job, also just mention what kind of job you're looking for in the tech space. Once again, use the hashtag HireGeeks, and we'll be able just to just try to push it out for people to look at it.
Yes, and there's also this gig Patu Chads or Kabubu.
Kabubu.
You know that guy?
I think I know him. He sounds familiar. Kabubu.
Yeah. It's the founder and I think also the CEO and developer of something called The Plug. and it's always just pushing the platform. And I see now it's moving towards making that platform be more open for developers. So from API point of view, it's doing quite some interesting stuff, including having to having to develop its own libraries and packages, which South Africa really needs, because we need to make sure that the South African tech ecosystem is not only consuming but it's also producing.
Yeah, so Patu is quite busy. A massive Microsoft fan. Loves the Microsoft tech. And I think yesterday eventually took a break. Interesting enough, sometimes when you face challenges, that's when your best ideas come through. So he is also studying to work on a what do you call it?
What?
On a periods cycle.
Period cycle freelancing.
Periods menstrual.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. He's working on such an app. Because of encounters that he came through. So we're looking forward to actually reviewing the app, and
TMI, too much info. Okay.
Maybe some people actually come through and use the app and give us feedback on the app.
Yeah. And did you see this 50 inspiring 50 competition? Well, it's more like a profile of 50 inspiring.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is it the woman, the ladies one?
Yes, the ladies one.
Yes.
Yeah, so the applications are closing very soon. So go ahead. If you know a female who's doing some inspiring stuff, especially in this science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and innovation angle, do give them the edge. Get them profiled.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Maybe just to emphasize on that, what T is saying. Sometimes, guys, the best support we can give to people is just by supporting them in things like this. So if you do know someone who might not know about it, but you think they're doing some really good stuff, nominate them. And you never know what could happen. Just nominate them, and hopefully they'll be selected. But we want to see the people that are doing some cool stuff out there.
Yeah, and you attended you were like. Maybe the face or something.
No, never the face.
The Red Bull basement.
Yes.
It turned up to the Red Bull basement. Can you tell us quickly about that?
Alright, so the Red Bull basement is Red Bull's way of getting into the tech space. So it was a Red Bull Hatch. It was just a couple of talks around tech, AI, Industry 4.0. There was a female panel which a lot of people enjoyed listening to the ladies talking about some of the challenges. And then after that was a showcase, so people were hands-on. So people got to play around with tech, builds, put some electronic stuff together. But in one session, they were learning about machine learning. In other session, they were learning how to, not to reinvent the world when it comes to software development. So those are some of the things that the basement is focused on. Maybe just as a word out there, if you guys are working on anything and need a bit of support in terms of your events, hackathons, do give us a shout in terms of that, and we'll see how we can actually plug it in.
Of course. Last week was the social media show, but just to give something along the angle of social media. 2 days ago, nearly 800,000 Facebook users were affected by a bug on Facebook. So this bug basically just unblocked users which you had blocked.
And
Yeah.
good thing I don't block people.
Me too.
Wow. So
Oh,
wait, now we know. So guys, if T, you no longer seeing T's comments, he blocked you. This guy. So wait, basically people who you blocked for a while, were actually unblocked.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, so that happened. And then also in the crypto news, your Bitcoin. So there's been a record-breaking amount of cryptocurrency, 3 times the level seen during the whole period of 2017, and that has been stolen from online exchanges in the first half of 2018.
Yeah.
That's a tricky scene right there.
So, but it's growing. I mean, yeah. Maybe we should actually have a cryptocurrency session where people who are actually playing in that space tell us, and those who want to get into that space tell us. So one of the things we do request from you guys is let us know what are some of the things you want to hear. And at the times, who actually wants to come to the show and just chill with us and maybe kick Diane out of the room or kick myself out of the room and take over the show? We open to such things. Just let us know. So someone is asking if I code. No, I don't code. No, I don't code.
Yes, we have been looking.
So let's move on before Tiyani gets on and talks about something that apparently...
Since 2013, we have been waiting for a basic HTML page from Mixo, and we are still waiting on that angle. So someone
it got hacked.
What?
It got hacked.
Aibo. Anyway, so someone asked about intellectual property. I can't remember.
It was a Lighty.
Okay.
Yes. Lighty on Instagram asked about intellectual property. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not a fan of patents and all that. I prefer on fast execution, fast to market, and so forth. But go on and check out NIPMO. NIPMO is the intellectual property. NIPMO is the intellectual property institution of South Africa. So they will be in a better position to help you out in terms of getting your patent and then preserving your IP as such. But the CIPC institution as well is also a great platform to start. And if you have got a business idea that you need to launch out there, get it out, you can just go and register your organization there.
Yeah, CIPC in partnership with Zadna. Those are
Yes.
some of the things that they can actually help you in terms of intellectual property. But just to emphasize on T's statement, especially in the software space, it's very, very difficult, guys, to actually
Especially for an
patent.
app.
Yeah, for an app, build it, get it out there. Rather try and get as many users as possible, get it to the market, and then start improving on it. Because, I mean, most of us think about the same apps when in a shower or traveling, whatever it might be. And in most cases, people don't actually build. And I heard something very interesting this week. They say,
Okay, make it quick.
they say those who actually, people that are able to steal your ideas are actually pretty busy. So they don't even have time to work on those ideas that you think they'll steal. So get it out there and do not focus too much on patents.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to end it here, but we'll be chatting to someone from Zatna very soon.
Yes.
Very, very soon. And
Soon.
she'll tell us more in terms of that space. It was great chatting to you this morning. Well, it was a half duplex communication, but okay.
Does it have what?
Duplex.
Okay.
Mono-directional, so to say. Anyway, we'll chat again next week. Same place, same time. The Geek Culture Very Quick program is starting in Priska in the Karoo this Monday. Yeah, and we are looking forward to that. Until next week, away. May like this and everyone. Yeah.
Sure.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za